Today's message from Dr. Christian Sorensen was recorded January 20th, 2019, and it's titled Back to the Basics, Part 2, The Way It Works. Affirming, I boldly change my thinking and now experience my greater good. And today we welcome back the spirit, talent, and voice of Angel Travis, who can be found on her Facebook page. And you're always welcome to visit us at seasidecenter.org on the internet. And you can always join us in Encinitas, California on a Sunday sometime, where we always have great music, a spirited message, and a joyful, loving, vibrant community that await you.
It is my pleasure to introduce you, Seaside, to our guest artist this morning. Angel Taylor is joining us again here at Seaside, and she has some original music to share with you for the Spirit. And also, in the break, she has some albums for sale out front. Make sure you stop by and say hello. And she's also has a pre-release, so you can actually buy a record that is not yet in existence and get a copy of it as soon as it comes out. First orders, right? Okay. With no further ado, Angel Taylor. Thank you.
I'm everybody. I'll be Angel Taylor. Understand this world sometimes stops me dead in my shoes, blocks what I'm feeling a while, and then your love comes through. I pray for people to put their difference aside, to wipe the lashes and take faith chances. And then I think of you. Your love comes through, yeah. God's love comes through. Oh, I think of you. My toes were hanging off the couch cold. I cuddled in my falling wings and you made me go. You're inside and outside of me, oh, you're everywhere. You pick me up when I'm falling down, you're there. I think of you, I think of you, yes. Your love comes through, oh God. I think of you, I think of you. love comes through. I said your love comes through. Oh, your love comes through. Thank you.
That is Angel Travis. Oh my goodness. Love comes through. That is what this whole message this morning is about. Your love comes through. So true. Wow. Woo. That is like perfect for this morning's message, because this morning's message is the way it works, unlocking your healing power. And as you may or may not know, what we are doing is aligning or partnering with centers for spiritual living across the country who during the first month of the year go back to the basics, as laid out by the founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, in his book, The Science of Mind. And we go through those introductory chapters. And last week we were talking about the thing itself, and that was spirit. You know, our relationship to spirit, what our experience of that divine presence is. So it is a real experience when we mention the word God. So that was last week. And this week is, and the way that works, this is like I'm giving it away up front. But the way it works is, it comes through you. Just like Angel was singing to us. That is how spirit shows up in our life. It comes through us. And so James Allen, who at the turn of the last century came out with a book in 1903 called As a Man Thinketh, which was later rewritten to As a Woman Thinketh. And but basically it said the same thing. What he wrote in there was, you are today where your thoughts have brought you, and you are tomorrow where your thoughts will bring you, which is what, master teachers have talked about. It's done unto you as you believe. What goes around comes around. As you cast your bread upon the waters and back it comes. The secret cause and effect. It's like, whoa, that's a new piece of information. Right. As within, so without. This is the way it works. And your healing power comes when you begin to recognize that there is a power greater than you that is moving through you. Change your thinking, change your life. There's a power in the universe for good, and you can use it. We keep coming back to that same thing, but how do you use it? Richard Bach, author of Jonathan Livingston Seagull, said, argue for your limitations, and sure enough, they're yours. That's how it works. But that's what we tend to do, is we begin to say, okay, this is how much good I can embrace in my life. This is how much I think I really can conjure up, which is really the level of your self-worth or your value, saying this is how much I can get into my life. And our body responds to our thoughts. There's plenty of research. There's volumes on the shelves of research that shows that our thoughts change our attitude. They change us physiologically. They begin to get our heart racing and beating. Our negative thinking really controls the way we move in this world and the way we act. Whether I stutter or forget my lines, or the heart starts racing, and people take polygraphs. So scientifically, they say, the blood pressure goes up, the heart starts racing, your hands get clammy. There's things that are going on physiologically because of your thinking. You've got people like Joe Dispenza working with the brain, and Bruce Lipton in Biology of Belief talking about epigenetics, which scientifically are showing how we can change our DNA. I've so long heard people say, well, it's hereditary. It's what I was born with. That's the way it came. Well, they were showing that, at the molecular level, it's mostly all space. The science is showing what's in space, your energy, your thoughts, and the science is showing how it can change it. That is how we take the power to heal in our life, is to recognize that we are not bound by what has gone before us, but there is power in that spirit as it shows up in our life. That's how it's working here, is it's showing up at the level of your belief. You may have heard this story. It's been around for a while. It's definitely in our culture, of Nick Sitzman. He was a strong, strapping train yardsman who worked the trains in the yard. I guess that's what a yardsman does. Anyway, one afternoon, the foreman, it was his birthday, so he gave all the guys the day off. And Nick's a very conscientious guy, always worrying about stuff. And, he was checking inside a refrigeration box car. And as the guys were closing up and locking up, they locked him in the refrigeration box car. Yep, that was his, oh no. And so he started freaking out. And his mind works. He knows the numbers. He knows the temperature, that the boxcar is gets down to 0 degrees when the doors are closed, how much air, all sorts of things. And so he just started pounding until his hands were bleeding, yelling for help until he was hoarse. And finally, he just started to slow down and could feel his body getting cold and chilling out. And he took out his pocket knife and carved the last message, to his wife and his child. I'm going cold, getting numb. And in the morning, when the guys came to the yard and they were opening up the box cars, they found Nick dead. And the autopsy showed he had all the signs of hypothermia, of freezing to death. But the boxcar refrigeration wasn't operative. It was 55 degrees when those guys opened it up. And yet, physiologically, his body responded to freezing. That is the power that we have in our body. Not only can you change the DNA, at least what science is telling us is possible, or you die because of your thinking. That is the power that we're operating with. And, that's pretty quick. But, we know body responds quickly, right? Have you ever been embarrassed? How long does it take for you to turn flesh and go red? Boom! Pretty quick, you get excited, you see somebody you haven't seen in a while. How long does it take for you to get excited? Things respond quickly within the physiological aspect of your being. And so what's important is to recognize that we don't want to give our power away, that life responds to us at the level in which we believe. And our founder, Ernest Holmes, who wrote this book, The Science of Mind, and so what we study, our teaching is the science of mind. It's based upon his book, The Science of Mind. Now, we say we're religious scientists practicing the science of mind, and the name of the organization is Centers for Spiritual Living. And so what Ernest wrote in his book, The Science of Mind, came out in 1927. And he said, this is a correlation of the laws of science, revelations of religions, the insights of philosophy. And it's not a revelation to me, but rather there seems to be this common thread of truth that's shown up through the great religions. He didn't believe that there's only one path to the mountaintop, or there's only one philosophy to understanding spirit. He believed there were many. And so what he shares here seems to be very trans-denominational. So, in terms of healing, you can't only heal within your wheelhouse. A lot of people say, I can only heal if you do this. Well, you don't have to believe his way. But what I want to share with you from the chapter we're working on called The Way It Works, he wrote, if God is to interpret itself to us, it must interpret itself through us. And Spirit can make no gift that we do not accept. See, if Spirit's infinite, then all the gifts are there for you, but only the ones that you can embrace are the ones you get. He goes on to say that the thing then, meaning God, which we spoke about last week, works for us by working through us and is us always. It can't work for us in any other way. It spreads itself over the whole universe and shouts at us from every angle. Hey, here I am. Help yourself. I added that. But it can become power to us only when we recognize it as power. If you have a bunch of money in the bank, you don't know it's there, it's not any good to you, right? See, it can only become power to us when we recognize it as power. Therefore, our belief, our thinking, sets the limit of a demonstration of a principle which of itself is without limits. It is ready to fill everything because it is infinite. So it's not a question of its willingness nor its ability. It's entirely a question of our receptivity. Spirit's infinite? Yes. You're part of that, everything? Then the limitation is dictated by you because you're part of that everything. See, the way it works is it shows up at the level in which you choose to embrace, to embody, and to recognize in your life and in your world. It's how that tends to work in our world. And so, if it's not happening at the level in which you want in your life, it's an opportunity to take a look at it and say, what's going on here? Because I'll tell you, it's a case of misidentification. You're not recognizing that you truly have the ability, the capability, and the worthiness to experience the greater good, the greater love, the greater abundance, greater health, the perfect balance, whatever it is you're working on, the ease and the grace or what have you. It is this misidentification that forgets that Spirit is everything and you're part of that, and so it can show up in your life at the level in which you believe, and what needs to shift here is your thinking. And so what happens a lot of times is that we begin to beat ourselves up on the inside. Well, because I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough. And we got this inner critic. And some people's inner critics are very loud. But what you want to experience a shift, a subtle shift, if you could change your thinking from inner critic to inner coach, right? This is my coach. This is my spiritual mentor that is giving me some insights here. If anybody's ever done drama or theater, you know that the director sometimes can be brutal. Oh, yeah. But, it's not to hurt you. It's to give you something else to look at and to think about. I'm doing a homiletics class right now, working with ministerial students to become proficient speakers. And it's like, they tease me that I'm like Simon Cowell. I'm like so mean to them. And I said, no, I'm not a critic. I am the director, the one who is holding up a mirror and saying, you may want to take a look at that. That's what your life is doing. It says, hey, it's not working here. Take a look because there's something going on. You can beat yourself up and say, I'm not worthy, good enough a title, my past, and come up with all the excuses. Or you can shift and say, okay, my coach here, my inner coach is saying I can do something different with this. Because there is something that responds to that, is a subjective, if you would. And our subjective is that creative factor. It is that which holds the sum total of everything we've thought and we've done. It's sitting in there. And the subjective is right below the objective, right? It's sub. It's right underneath that. The subjective is subjective to the objective. The subconscious is sub to the conscious mind. The subconscious will always respond to the conscious mind. But first, it's going to continue in the position in which it was pointed. It's going to work 24/7 to produce that level of your self-belief and your acceptance. That's what it's going to do. It's going to dig in the heels 24/7. It's going to attract or repel whatever supports that level. And if you're going to drop something else in there, you got to recognize it's operating on the totality or the sum total of your previous thinking. And if you're going to shift it, it's very possible, but you have to be clear that I'm going to be able to move that, because if I've been operating that I can't afford this, the subjective says absolutely you can't afford it. I get it. And this is why. Look at your checkbook. But if all of a sudden your conscious mind says, I'm done with that level of thinking, I'm going to drop in, I'm going to buy this. Then it begins to figure out the how, because the subjective is tapped into that infinite. It always will figure out the ways and the means, because the law responds. It's done unto as you believe, as we talked about. What goes around comes around. The bread cast upon the water. You heard it all 5 minutes ago. It's that is how it works. But what happens is we get dialed in to the previous sense, and we don't see what is above it. We don't see the greater possibility of what is going on, and we're operating in this field of what we want to do is begin to get that mountaintop view. We want to have a higher view than our own if we can't see our way through a situation. And you want to experience the power of healing, invite a higher way of seeing and knowing that is already available in the universal subjective, in the universal mind, that can drop that image to you if you can hear. But so often is we get caught up in running on the wheel on it's not working, can't see it, there's not a way, I don't know. Did you guys see this video that went viral, I think this week? It was a 4-minute video. A guy had a cellular phone, he had a rotary phone. And he offered it to two teenagers. He did it to a bunch of them, but the clip is of two teenage guys, and asked them, he gave them 4 minutes to dial this number. And it's pretty funny, all 4 minutes, but it's got the cut down version to 1 minute. So these two young men were asked to dial a number on a rotary phone for the first time they'd seen one.
Here are two 17-year-old boys confronted with an antique from a bygone era, a rotary phone.
You have 4 minutes to dial that phone number.
Jake and Kyle Bumstead were challenged to make a phone call on a rotary phone under 4 minutes.
Oh no, zero's all the way over. How do I restart it? Wait a minute.
Think of different.
We have to pick up the phone and then do it?
Put the phone to your ear. What do you hear? What does that sound like?
The resulting video has older internet users either laughing or crying at how much times have changed.
If this was zero, then
wait.
There's a second one.
Watch out.
Is
this correct?
Zero?
Bring it all the way around and then like. What's with all the holes though?
It's a great question. It is.
Before you laugh at their effort, these two boys can probably show most of us a thing or two about how smart TVs work.
What is it?
8500. 8500.
We're done.
Oh, you did it?
Yeah, no, I didn't.
Yeah. When you don't know, you don't know. And then you get caught up in your thinking that this is how it is, whether it's with your body, whether it's a relationship, whether it's with work, whether it's your finances, it doesn't matter what it is. And there is an answer. We know how to do that. And that's what you want to do, because what happens so often when people get caught up in life and they get caught up in the rat race, they try more aggression. They try more of the same. They try intimidation. They will exploit. They will bully, they will lie, they will manipulate, they will do all sorts of things to overpower. And the way to get out of that rat race is to invite a higher vision to lift you above where you've been operating. Say, how does this work? There's got to be a way, Spirit. Let me see how I get through this. I mean, I love Lily Tomlin's line. She said, the problem with the rat race is even if you win the rat race, you're still a rat, And so what we want to do is get quiet and go to a little bit higher place. And in the quiet mind, you begin to hear Spirit speak, if you would. See, the way it works is through you. So often we're looking for the idea out there, but if you're in that quiet place and you're walking along the beach, you see a pattern in the sand, it's like, oh my goodness, like that triggers something. It's like, that's just the piece I was looking for. Yeah, you're starting to question, am I really worthy to get out of this rat race or this ratty situation? And boom, the wind hits you on the side of your face. You get, I'm good. Yeah, I am worthy of doing that. Or you hear the geese honking in the dark of the night with this answer that you're looking for. And all of a sudden, you begin to be the recipient. But what happens so often to us is rather than being available, we want to take control. This is how I'm going to get it. This is how people are going to behave. This is how it's going to work. And as we do that, we just associate ourselves with that subtler energy that comes from the sand mandala that God gave you. All you see now is a bunch of lines in the sand that mean nothing to you. All you're dealing with now are leaves that are blowing in the wind and making a mess because you have shifted, because you want to be able to say how this is going to show up in my life. That's not the way it works. It works because of the level of your consciousness. It works through you. And you'll be thinking, those things just coincidences or accidents along the way. But when you move to that place of a quiet mind and recognize that it is, my thoughts that bring me to where I am today, and it's my thoughts that are going to take me to where I'm going tomorrow, I begin to recognize that bark of the dog across the street is pointing me in the direction I've been looking for. That's how it works. It's through you in a way in which you are able to embrace it. And so rather than getting caught up in the rat race and becoming aggressive and superior and condescending and all those other kinds of things, you begin to be available for that presence of God that is showing up, not only for you, but for the ones that you are with. And when things are going not in the direction, I love what Martin Luther King shared. And he taught, we're celebrating his birthday on Sunday or tomorrow. A wonderful civil rights leader who really shifted the consciousness of our country to understanding of equality. And one of the things he said that I believe there are those who I believe that those who are self-centered tear things down, but those who are other-centered build them up. Right? Those who are self-centered will tear things down, trying to make it the way they think it should be. But those that are other-centered, looking outside of themselves, begin to see, they begin to understand. And so what happens so much in life is that we are brought to the point where we get to decide, am I going to control and own, or am I going to connect and belong? We get to this crossroad sometimes in our world that, am I going to isolate myself or build a bridge? Yeah. As a boy, one of the things I did as a boy, and maybe boys do this, is I would take things apart. It's kind of a boy thing, I think. I don't know. But, I used to like to take things apart. I wouldn't necessarily like to put them back together. But you take them apart to see how it works, right? I mean, that's the purpose of taking things apart. And if I do put it back together, there's always extra pieces. I mean, it even happens today with the vacuum I did not too long ago. There's extra pieces that are not needed anymore. And it's kind of in our nature as we take things apart so we can understand them. And that's valuable sometimes. Sometimes we do need to disengage from a bond or an association to experience greater freedom. But what I've tended to notice with counseling, and a lot of times people come and counsel and they want to take the pieces and they're going to look at this piece and they're going to look at this piece. And, there's value to all that. But the healing comes when there is a return to the wholeness, when you can get that mountaintop view, when you can begin to catch a view of that one that can see more than you can see. All of a sudden, you begin to see the interconnectedness of it all, because we are all interconnected in this infinite realm. And as I begin to expand my awareness, as opposed to picking it apart and just microly getting into this situation, I decide, you know what? I am going to unite, connect, bond, and begin to recognize that it is as I connect with my fellow journeyers that I come to realize that what's important is to bring me to the situation here. It's not what's coming back that makes the difference in life. It's what I'm bringing. There's this wonderful poem by Kent Keith, and he is an American writer of higher education, though he entered in through the legal world as an attorney. But he wrote this poem called Anyway. Said that if you're kind, and people may accuse you of selfish, ulterior motives, be kind anyway. What you spend years building, someone could destroy overnight. Build anyway. The good you do today, people will often forget tomorrow. But do good anyway. Give the world the best you have, and it may never be enough. But give the world the best you have got anyway. You see, in the final analysis, it is between you and God. It was never between you and them anyway. It's between you and God. And the way it works is through you. That's it. And so as the blood that circulates through our body, it gives us our vitality. The water, it passes through the gills of a fish to keep it alive. It is the dance of the Spirit that is through us that gives us the aliveness. It gives us the joy. It gives us the sense of value and contribution. It is as we begin to honor that dance of Spirit that is within our heart and that is within our soul that we're able to contribute to the world that we're in, that we're able to make a difference. To allow that dance of Spirit is like that fish in the water. I love what Kabir said, that he laughs every time he hears that a fish is thirsty in the water. It's like, I don't want to say it's funny. It's actually kind of sad when people are seeing that, I don't see Spirit anywhere. I feel trapped in my life, when the truth is you're infinite. We talked about that. Spirit is infinite. That's what you are. And to hear people talk about how lonely they feel in a world with 7 billion people, that for some reason they're pushing away the very love and the dance of God that wants to move through them for whatever that reason may be. And it is painful to watch individuals who, the very thing that they're looking for in their life, the love that they want to experience that is right there, they have got a fear to embrace it, to drop their shield and become vulnerable, to experience the presence of God and dance with God in the rawness of their being. I used to have a bird called Freebird. Not a best name for a caged bird, but it was the 70s. And this bird I had for 20 years as a parrot. And it lived with me as a kid, and it moved out with me when I was a teen, and it was with me at my first church in Ventura. And nobody really liked this bird because he squawked, he woke them up, he chewed on furniture, he ate books. But he and I had a good relationship. And They weren't my books, but anyway, so when I moved to Hawaii, Freebird was going to Hawaii with me, and Dana and I were having fun at this first service because back in those days things were a little laxer. And so I mean, it's not like I really smuggled him on the plane because I put him through the radiation, the X-ray machine, And so he in this little box, and he came through, and they said, "There's a bird in there." I said, "I know. Is everything okay with him?" And they said, "Yeah." And so I took him on the plane. I kind of snuck him under my thing and put it under the seat. He was real quiet. Then the plane was delayed, and here he is. Now everybody's starting to chat, and everybody's becoming a little more relaxed, and he starts squawking, from under the seat. So anyway, he and I had some history, and so when I got to Hawaii, I was feeling bad for putting him through all this, and we had a little tree in the backyard, and I'd been reading a book that, parrots like trees, that's their natural habitat. So the next day I was excited, welcome to Hawaii, here's your tree, his wings are clipped, so, everything's okay, and I hold him up to the tree, and he doesn't move. And I kind of shake him, push him, and he won't come, and then he runs up my arm, sits on my shoulder, kind of cuddles in where he feels safe, and I was like, Freebird. Yeah, this is a tree, and you're a bird, and birds are supposed to like trees, And he looks at me like, "What are you talking about? You're a bird," which is real tough to tell a pet it's a pet when it thinks it's a person, if anybody's had a pet like that. But, I'm saying, your ancestors lived in trees, Freebird. It's like you're supposed to love trees. If you're not going to do it for me, do it for your ancestors, And he crawled back, and never quite made it out to the trees. So 20 years later, though, when Kelly and I were living in Del Mar, or after 20 years, we did leave the door open, and his wings weren't clipped, and he joined the wild pack of parrots in Del Mar, so I trust he lives in the trees there now. But I share that story because, our nature is to love. Our nature is love. And all the time, life is offering us the opportunities to love, to be loved, to connect, to bridge, to unite, to be together, to understand and feel and sense the bigger picture here. And what we're doing is like, Freebird, I'm not going up there. But you like trees. No, I don't. You like love. No, I don't. Leave me alone. The way Spirit works is it wants to dance through you, and what just is the passion, the turn on, is Spirit's joy of expression as you've been given this gift to bring to this world. You have got your dharma, your purpose, your passion. You've heard me tell you before that Spirit's not going to have you do anything you don't like. If you don't like blood and guts, Spirit's not going to have you be a paramedic. It doesn't work like that. You will be on track to do what it is that excites your soul and allows the Spirit to dance through you. You got to listen to that. You got to listen with that quiet voice. The way it works is it works through you. What do you see with the wind kissing your face? What is it you feel when someone is urging you to take a higher step and to step up? What do you do when you feel the challenge? You get into that fighting mode and aggression. Do you shut down, or do you choose to ask for a higher vision here? Because there's always a higher perspective, because we're dealing with that which is infinite. You're part of that, so that greater possibility is always available to you if you can get quiet enough to listen to it. And the way you can do that is here's a question. Here's a take home for you. Is you ask yourself, is what I'm doing here really hurting, or does it feel right? Does it feel good? Is what I'm about to do here, is it moving me closer to my dream or my goal, or is it moving me away? Is what I'm doing getting me where I want to go with the joy and the love, the compassion, the kindness, or is it getting me further away because of my behavior going on here? See, the way it works is it's through you. It really doesn't care, how you use it or what you do with it. It is looking to show up in your life at the level in which you choose to believe. You get to decide, how's this going to show up in my world? What's going on with this? I'm the place that Spirit is showing up. We're dealing with the subjective, and it responds. We're dealing with the law of mind, and it responds. There is So we're dealing in a universe of order. We talked last week about spirit. That's the spontaneity. That's the personalness. That is the touch. That is the love. And then we're dealing with the law aspect. The law of mind is what Ernest Holmes calls it. It's like there's an order. Not even spirit violates its order of things. And spirit shows up through evolution, emergence, unfoldment, through a systematic unfoldment of the law of mind in a sequential manner. Ernest Holmes says this isn't superstition any more than having superstition in the law of electricity is superstition, or any laws of nature. It's what I choose to do with it. Ernest ends this particular chapter, Dr. Ernest Holmes. Excuse my lack of respect, Ernie. But he says, on the last page of this chapter on the way it works, he writes that how much can one demonstrate? Well, we know that answer by now, right? If you've been listening, just what one can believe. How much can we see? How much can we accept? How much can we find in our consciousness? And whatever that is how much we can have. What is it that you're embodying, he's saying? Then, knowing that the thing itself, that spirit, can work for us only by working through us, let us begin to accept today more good than we experienced yesterday, and to know that we shall reap the harvest of our fulfilled desires. Let us realize and work with the sound knowledge and the perfect faith that as high as we shall make our mark in the mind of spirit, so high shall be its outward manifestation in our material world. That is the way it works. As high as you make your mark, as high as you can embody. It's not saved for 1%. It is available to anyone who wants to step to a higher way of being and expressing. There is a law of mind. This is the way it works. It's done unto you as you believe. It changes the body at the genetic level. At least that's what science tells us. It changes our attitudes in life. It changes the vibrational field that comes out. And so when something comes up like it, you notice and say, hey, out you go. You know, we are dealing not only with our subjective, we're immersed in the universal subjective. We are being bombarded by the corporate media's headlines, you know, and sometimes things come into our field of awareness. I have no idea where it came from. That sure isn't ministerial, Christian, you know, to be thinking or acting like that. But those I have heard called they're ants, automatic negative thinking. And when you have ants at the picnic, what do? You kind of flush them off, and then you stomp on them. That's what I want you to do with your ants. That automated negative thinking, I want you to stomp on those ants and get rid of it just like that and leave them behind you. You didn't bring them to the picnic, and you don't have to take them home. But you're the one who decides that. Spirit's moving through you. It's calling you. That's the way it works. It wants to dance with you as you. Oh. You know, this time of year, I don't know if you've seen them, the whales out front. You know, the whales are heading south, you know, for the winter to do their whale thing. And, you know, you can, sit at Swami's on a bench and meditate and look out and see the whales jump in, or like to go to the little restaurant on the bluff in the park, in San Leo Park campground there. Or you can even go to, I've seen them, you know, just sitting in kayaks watching the whales out there. But as I look at these whales, you know, they're heading down to the lagoons in Baja, and, you know, they're heading in from Alaska. You know, that's a long journey south. But, you know, I kind of get it. You know, if you're a whale going to the lagoons down there, you kind of keep the coast on your left and you head south until you get there. You know, I could get that one. But also what's happening this time is those whales up in Canada and Alaska are not only heading to the lagoons down there, but those Bethmont, mammoth, blue humpback whales are going from the top of the globe all the way out to the Hawaiian Islands. It's a 5,000-mile journey. And even James needs his GPS to find Hawaii when you're over the water. But these guys aren't even over the water. They are in the water, and there are no signs in the Mariana Trench that says, turn left here and go another 1,000 miles. There is something inside of them that takes them to the very same spot year after year, to that little 7-mile stretch between Maui and Lanai. I've been there many times this time of the year, and those huge whales are jumping and playing. You know, I love putting my head under the water and hearing the song of the whales, and it's just truly magical. But what we are also told is not only does the same spirit species find its way to that 7-mile stretch. But the very same whales, they know their flukes are like fingerprints. They're all identifiable. Hook up with the very same mates from the previous year and do their whale thing. And it's like, that to me is pretty amazing to think that those guys can go all that way, the very same whales, the very same spot, find the very same partners. And then when they're done in the wintering in Hawaii, they go back to the food of the Alaskan waters up north. Now, how do these guys and women, whales, do this? I don't know. But what I do know, if there's something in those whales that can do that, there's something inside of me that can navigate me through uncharted territories, whether it's a quick trip down the coast and through my easy challenge, or if it's across a 5,000-mile expansive long journey where I don't know how I'm getting to where I'm getting, but I know that where it is I want to be. It is this vision. It is this knowingness. It is this deep something that if I choose to quietly listen, that I can begin to experience the dance of the divine in me. I can begin to trust that and realize that the way it works is through me, and I'm going to begin to put my belief on a higher idea and consciously put it into my subjective that absolutely knows how to make it respond. It is 100% done and choose your belief. So what I'm going to do is begin to take ownership of my thought, stamp out those automatic negative thoughts that creep up and say, there is no space for your residency here. I am an expression of the divine. I've come to this world to do something, and the way it's going to happen is through me, because God is everywhere, and I am that. God bless you as we do this together. Hey, let's keep it going as we bring Angel Travis back to our stage, along with the Seaside Band, of course.
Very welcome. Ladies and gents, one more round of applause for Angel Travis.
Thank you. My angel is, I know it, just going to say it, but angels need angels. And we all do. And my daughter really is mine. Like, I won't tell you the story now because I got to sing. But but she's my angel. Yeah, she saved me. All right, so this is a song that Reverend Christian really liked last service. Take it in. Who was full of life. He tempted choice, hiding from light. He danced with the danger. He played with its wagers. He sat in his chair. He grew young to old. I asked him if he was afraid. He said, heck no, God's not a stranger. God is my maker. And you are asking me questions unknown. My body may leave you, but sister, you're not alone. And if you're wondering where I will be in the eye of God's sunset, that's where you'll find me. We search for love, we search for home. For some reason we like to roam in the arms of anger until we wake from their wagers. And time here is illusion somehow. I wonder what time is like in forever. He said the seasons will be better eye of a sunset with God, that's where I'll be. The sky, I asked him, are you afraid to go? He said, Angie, no, 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 I am not alone. And if you're wondering where I will be, oh, in the eye of God's sunset, that's where you'll find me. Oh, in the eyes of that sunset, that's where you'll find me. You're not alone.
Wow. That's Angel Travis. Woo! Beautiful songs that you create. Are those on your new album?
They are.
They are. Well, I'm excited to listen to that. Congratulations. No, thanks.